Fox News has said that WikiLeaks will have blood on its hands, but is this true? I've been quite careful to release only what I believe to be what's already in the news, to be honest. But check out those videos on WikiLeaks anyway, because you will find some information that you're not quite aware of. But why do I believe that WikiLeaks is actually saving lives? Well, we have learnt that Hezbollah is like type organisations are being set up by Iran in African countries where Al Qaeda is to counter Al Qaeda. Now, both of these are both anti-American groups, so maybe two evils may destroy themselves and allow the United States to not have to spill blood to destroy two mutually evil organisations. Also, it is also exposing the link between the United States and the support for the terrorist regime of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia itself is also has elements within its government which are supporting Al Qaeda against the Saudi royal family, which is a crime family themselves. They don't get off lightly on the moral front. But what we are giving the Saudis over £80 billion worth of equipment and training for their troops. Many of those troops will be trained and go off to fight in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, well, as dispatches on Channel 4 said, many of the most skillful snipers who are fighting for the Taliban against US troops will probably receive US training at some point in their time because of the link between the arms trade and the training trade by private contractors and the actual military of the United States in Saudi Arabia. WikiLeaks is exposing this, but what will be interesting to see is, will WikiLeaks reveal even more about such things as whether the United States failed completely or only partially to stop a greater attack on 9/11 than actually happened? Will WikiLeaks expose Al Qaeda? Are they brave enough to do that? Because they risk their families by doing that. But what is certain is that the United States is not what it seems to be acting like. And I think the United States people, the American people, know that. And that's why they're so angry at their own government's foreign policy, which changes little between the Republicans or the Democrats. Whatever happens is these Israeli firsters who are in there and these Saudi firsters who are battling each other for supremacy within the White House. When will the United States be released from this to follow its own national interest? Its national interest, however, is long linked to oil, and I've said in many videos it needs to get off of oil and into clean energy and fusion power, much as the Europeans are doing. But will people die because of what WikiLeaks has done? I cannot say for certain that they won't. And so on that scale of thinking, yes, WikiLeaks could be said to be immoral for releasing that information. I too could be said to be immoral for releasing what WikiLeaks have done. But I believe more people's lives will be saved by preventing a war between the United States and Iran, if that is what is the goal of WikiLeaks. On the other hand, it may be that the United States is right and correct because many of these WikiLeaks cables are actually suggesting that the Iranians are trying to get a nuclear weapon. And obviously I would hope that the Iranians are not trying to do this, but the United States could be correct and we may still have to fight Iran sooner rather than later. So I'm a little bit undecided. We have to see the ramifications of this and the overall picture of what these leaks tell us. But in many ways, they've already told us what I've been saying about Saudi Arabia and Iran and the West's relationship with them. But fundamentally, I believe it's wrong to be arming the Arabs even against the nuclear-armed Iran, because the Arabs are going to threaten Israel with those weapons, and they're also going to threaten the EU, because we may be creating an even greater monster than Iran in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's armies are already as powerful as the United Kingdom's army, and possibly unassailable, given that they have a stranglehold on the throat of the world's oil supply. There's also a contradiction in what the Americans are doing, because Saudi Arabia and Yemen are partially controlled by the Bin Laden crime family as much as they are by the Saudi crime family, and so they may be still arming factions of Al Qaeda by proxy and by mistake. This to me does not make sense unless you're trying to create a network that is so strong that you know how to defeat it by taking it apart from the elements and modules that you've given it. This to me seems an insane way to actually fight a war. But the Americans, of course, in the Pentagon have probably got more experience than me about fighting wars, so let's defer to their judgment. But are we willing to defer to their judgment to the point where it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of people and soldiers' lives as well? WikiLeaks is definitely playing a hardball game, a dangerous game, but games on this scale of geopolitics cost people's lives, and we must be extremely careful with this information. What we're dealing with is things that perhaps are already known in the general public by a minority of people, but as the story develops and grows and more is released in a timely fashion, then we will know more about the scale of operations that have been going on. Obviously, Al Qaeda already knows this, because these leaks at present are being released by WikiLeaks from the past. Operations from them will undoubtedly have been carried out and have affected Al Qaeda already. So this is why I don't believe that people's lives are at stake by these leaks. As the editor of The Guardian said, a lot of what the United States has said has been complete bunk. It's saying that this is acts of treason, or that even though the head of WikiLeaks is not an American citizen, I am not an American citizen, I am not under the laws of the United States, I am under the laws of the European Union and the United Kingdom. I have not released any information about the United Kingdom, okay? And I've only released information about the Saudis. So I will not release information where I believe that British or American lives will be at stake. Okay? But that is up to my judgment. And I try and use the best judgment that I can. But I believe that we will eventually get through these WikiLeaks and see that the United States is being forced by Saudi Arabia to put the Saudis first before American interests. And I hope that the United States will put its interests first and not support the Saudis, and not support any power that takes away democracy from its people. Rather, the United States should be a bastion, an arsenal of democracy. That's all I have to say. And please give me your comments, send in more information. If you've got more information on WikiLeaks, please send it in. Any articles on Saudi Arabia or Al Qaeda, we must delve deeper. WikiLeaks must delve deeper into the issue of Al Qaeda and the Bin Laden crime family. That is what I would really like them to do. Thank you for listening.